why you should be excited for the upcoming iPhone 7 Plus camera. All right, so just to preface this, I love the iPhone. I love the camera. It is one of the most, if not the most popular camera out, and it has changed photography in so many ways. And while Apple does provide year-over-year improvements, the iPhone camera has limitations. It's certainly not perfect, and we're going to discuss some of those limitations here now. The first most obvious limitation is that the iPhone comes with a prime lens, so there is no zoom to speak of. If you want to zoom in on something, you physically have to move the camera closer to the object that you're focusing on. Now, don't get me wrong, prime lenses are wonderful, but they limit the amount of flexibility that you have. Another big limitation is that the iPhone features a fixed aperture, so there is no iris diaphragm to restrict or allow more light to hit the sensor. So you're going to have limitations when it comes to acquiring that super shallow depth of field. You do get some, but it just can't compete with a standalone camera with variable aperture. And also it's going to be inferior when it comes to low light photography as well. Now notice here on my RX100, this is just a point and shoot, but it has a 1-inch sensor, and you can easily see the difference. You have a much more shallow depth of field because on the iPhone 6s, for instance, once you account for that 7x crop factor, you're actually running the equivalent of f16 for a full frame camera. So you can see why there's so much of a difference even between this 1-inch sensor, this Sony RX100, and my iPhone 6s. Now that's not to say that Apple hasn't tried to improve its camera over the years, because it has. Notice the megapixel count, it's way up there at 12 megapixels, and over the years Apple has also provided a wider aperture, but keep in mind we've been stuck at f2.2 since the iPhone 5s. So it feels like we've sort of hit a plateau when it comes to iPhone camera quality. So the next obvious step is to incorporate more than one camera. In the case of the iPhone 7 Plus, dual cameras. Now, Apple certainly won't be the first to do this. In fact, I'm holding an LG G5, which is LG's latest flagship smartphone, that incorporates a dual camera system, one with a wide-angle lens and one with a regular lens. And this system is really nice because it allows you to quickly switch on the fly between your regular lens and the wide angle lens to capture that perfect shot. So right here in the camera UI, you see these two little buttons here. Right now we're on the regular lens, you tap the wide angle button here, and then you get a much wider field of view because it's actually using that secondary camera. Now, admittedly, this is sort of a basic way of utilizing dual cameras within a smartphone. What Apple is going to do with the iPhone 7 Plus seems to be a little bit more ambitious and a lot more exciting. Now, that's not to say that this isn't cool, because it is. I love the LG G5's camera, but it seems like Apple has much bigger plans for its dual camera system. So here's what we believe the iPhone 7 Plus will look like. There are schematics that you see right here. You see the dual camera housing, basically both cameras contained into a single housing there. Very clean look. Here's Dom's video. He got his hands on a couple of iPhone 7 mock-ups, and I really like the look of it, I have to be honest with you. Now, Steve Jobs was known for wanting to change industries, and photography was definitely in his crosshairs. In fact, in the summer of 2011, Steve Jobs met with the founder of Lytro, a company that makes light-filled cameras that allow you to focus on specific areas of an image in post. So that means that, yes, you take the photo and then you use the software to actually change what you're focusing on. It's a technology called post-capture focusing, and it's really cool. In fact, Steve was so impressed with this technology that he wanted Apple to work with Lytro, although that never came to fruition. Now, fast forward a few years, Apple acquires an Israeli company called Lynx for $20 million, and they specialize in multi-camera arrays. And in fact, their co-founder is still working at Apple as an engineer until this day. So why is this of note? Well, remember, Steve wanted Apple to work with Lytro, and one of the things that Lynx specializes in, post-capture focusing, is one of the things that makes Lytro special. But Lynx has a whole lot of other things in its portfolio that make this acquisition exciting. For instance, you can have better low light performance, ultra-fast exposures, better color accuracy, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, one of Lynx's competitors came up with a way to wield a multi-camera system to provide zooming, which is very comparable to the type of zoom you get on a standalone camera with a zoom lens. So while it is true that the upcoming iPhone looks very similar to the current generation iPhone, I think that the dual camera array in the iPhone 7 Plus will be very impressive. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. This is Jeff with 9 to 5 Mac.